Hello everyone, this is Kiran and today we are going to talk about XPaths in Selenium. XPath is very important to understand and it is the core concepts of how to automate any web element or how to perform any action on any web element, because XPath is a unique address to any of the elements on a page. So imagine we have an element and we want to automate that. So it's very important to know how to find the unique address to that web element in the DOM, because imagine I want to send you a letter and you are staying in a particular apartment in a particular city, and I have to mention the exact postal address of yours so that the letter reaches you and not your neighbor. So you stay in a country, in a city, in a street, in an apartment, on a floor, and there is a door number. Now your neighbor cannot have the same exact address. So similarly, all the web elements in a web page are having different addresses. So we have to reach there, and we have to know how to find that out, and that is XPath. So there are two types of XPath. One is absolute XPath and one is relative XPath. Now if we understand the DOM, let me open a web page and try to explain you how the web page is created. So just hang on. Now let's say this is a web page and it is having so many type of elements, as in these are navigation panel, and then we have buttons, which there's a drop down here if you can see, and then there must be text boxes, there must be buttons. So we have already discussed about web elements in our previous session, so let's not invest time there. Let's try to know how to find out any element's unique address. So let's say assign leave is a element, which is a button. So I'll just do a right click and inspect on it. So the DOM will open. So we have to understand that any web page is basically made from in an HTML, and HTML is having two tags. One is head and the another one is body. Head contains essential information about that page, example the title of the web page. Here's the title, and the body contains the entire structural flow, how this web page is created, starting with all divs, that how divisions have been created, which div is containing which class, and inside that how this page has been aligned and created. Now if we right click on any of the element of our choices and we try to find the address of that particular element, let's say I want to find out the address of admin tab, clicking on this admin tab. So I'll do a right click, inspect. So you see there's a highlight on one section which contains different attributes. So the tag name is span, the tag is span, and it is having different attributes like class. So this particular element is having a class name which is oxd-text blah blah blah. So this is the class name. Then there's another attribute, there can be more attributes to it which is not there in this case, and they are embedded in an anchor tag. Okay, so it's there. Now we can find out some other element also. Let's say I want to hit on I am trying to find out some good element. Okay, this looks like a link, leave request to approve. So because the hand tools are mostly links, but it's not mandatory, so I do a right click, so I get okay. So this is not a link, but again it's the tag is p and the class is this, and there's no more attribute to it again. So no problem, let me find something which is having more number of attributes for making you understand how it works. We can go to the login. Also we can just log out and we can go to the login page. On that page we have user ID, password and login. Forgot password is also there. Let's go to the forgot password page and see what's there. Now here we are having reset password page. So I'll just go to the username box and do a right click and inspect. So you can see here, this is an input box. Input is the tag name, class is this, and it is having more attributes, which is like name. Yes, it is having name, which is the name of this is username. Placeholder is username. Placeholder is something which you can see when you have now no data entered, then whatever you can see is called the placeholder. These are all attributes, okay, and the value of the attributes are these. The value of the attribute name is username, the value of the attribute placeholder is username again, and the value of the attribute class is this. So these are all values of these attributes. So we have to know how to write XPath. So I was explaining you there are majorly two types of XPath. One is absolute and the other one is relative XPath. Now absolute means you're trying to find out the address of that particular element direct from the root, which is HTML. Okay, so let's say you want to find out the address of this box. You're trying to find from the HTML, that is you go to the HTML and inside that you amongst head and body tag, it's inside the body. So /HTML/body, and in that body all the divs crossing to reach here, we have to write everything, and then we have to write the unique address. So that will make, it will look something like this. Div1, inside div1 you have to go to div1 again and div2 and so on. So it will look something like this, and that is from the root. That is called absolute XPath. So if we try to find out the absolute XPath for the element we are working on, let's do a right click and inspect. Now there are two ways, different ways of finding absolute XPath. Now how to find absolute XPath? We have to just do a right click on the element which I want to find the web address for, and then I can go to any of the tools which we have installed. So right now I'm using Selectors Hub. So you have to just go to the Selectors Hub and you can find the absolute XPath directly from there. You can copy the absolute XPath here, and when you just paste it here, you'll see it will start from the root, and then you'll have your own divs following to the following to the particular web element which we are trying to find. So this is the absolute XPath, how it looks like. This is how the absolute XPath will look like starting from HTML. It starts with a single slash. Now there is second types of XPath which is called relative XPath. The relative XPath will always start with a double slash, which you can see here, and I'll explain you how to find that. But let's go back to the web page and try to right click and inspect again. And here if you just do a right click again and you go to copy, when you go to copy you can just see copy XPath. So from there also you can copy absolute XPath. Okay, so this is how you can copy absolute XPath from any of the element you want to. Now the second type of XPath we were talking about is relative XPath. It starts with double slash. Now if we just try to write our own relative XPath, it will be double slash then the tag name. So this is the kind of generic this thing, double slash tag name, and then there's a square bracket starting and square bracket ending. Inside that we will be writing @attribute name is equals to value of the attribute. Again double slash tag name @attribute name is equals to value of the attribute. Now if we use this formula and try to write our own XPath for the box which we have seen, let's do that. So let's take one of the attributes of our choice. Let's say name we take. So if I just write the XPath here using the formula which I'm trying to, so double slash tag name. So tag name is input, right? This is the tag name. This is the tag name. Tag name is input. Now name of the attribute is name itself, isn't it? And then equals to single quote the value of the attribute. So value of the attribute, we should always have a habit of copy pasting and not writing ourselves, because a single hyphen or capital small letters can make a difference. So here I have written double slash tag name square bracket started square bracket ending @attribute name is equals to value of the attribute. Now when I hit on enter, it should always return me one element matching. Only one matching element should be there based on the formula which we are writing. If we are getting more than one element, that means our address is not unique. If you are writing your your address as your apartment name, then it will not be unique, because in your apartment your neighbors are also staying. So how will the letter reach to you particularly? So for that you need to have more of attributes added to your address so that it becomes unique. Similarly here, if it is not throwing the right address, it is not throwing me one matching element, then we have to find some other ways out. So this is returning me one matching element, and also the web element got highlighted. That's what it means, that we have written the correct XPath. So this is the XPath for the forgot password page username box. So I'll just paste it here in relative XPath. Okay, let me just paste all these which we are writing as another set of data. Okay, so here we go. I'm just writing it here. For the page, I'm just giving the URL as this. Okay. Okay. Now, so it will start with double slash. And what is relative XPath? What is the meaning of it? Is that it will always be in relation to some of the element which you are referring to, right? It's not starting from the root. We are referring to some element and then giving its attributes and its value and then writing address. So it is relative. Now, if the question is which is better, absolute or relative, the answer to this question is that relative XPath is better than absolute XPath. Reason being, let's say you have written some XPath like this, right? You have written some XPath like this, and tomorrow there is a small design change based on which the div changes. This div changes to 2. Now your entire XPath will certainly fail because your div has changed, right? But if you write something like this, there's less chances that the box's name will be changed to something else. Even if the position of the box is changed to somewhere else, its name and ID will remain the same. So your code won't fail. So it's a very good habit to use relative XPath instead of absolute XPaths, because there are less chances of your code getting failed because of design changes which occurred usually or continuously in our applications. So the design changes keep happening, and there are certain major or small changes in our web pages. So our absolute XPaths are more likely to fail in those cases. Now that the question has been answered. Now let's say we have to write more XPaths. Let's find out some more of the elements and write our own XPaths. We'll go back to the page. Now let's write the XPath for reset password button. So I do a right click, inspect. So it gets highlighted. We can see that it is the tag name is button, it is a type is button, and the type is equals to submit. It is type is yet another attribute. Class is also the attribute. The class name is given here, and then there are, let's see if there are more attributes. Hang on. It's a huge class name. So I can just, okay, so there is a text which is there, which is reset password. This text is there. Rest, there are no more attributes. So I can use the attributes, attribute class, okay, or I can use type. Let's use type. Okay, so let's write the XPath here and see if it's throwing me one matching node. Double slash tag name. What is the tag name? Tag name is button. Square bracket start sentence. Inside that you have to write @attribute name. So let's say attribute is type is equals to, I told you to copy paste always. So Control C. Control V. Enter. Again, one matching element I'm getting, and also the element is getting highlighted. That means our XPath is correct. So we have written the XPath correctly. So I'll just copy this and keep it here in my notes. Now let me keep it here. Okay, so this is how we are writing relative XPath. Now We also should know that relative XPaths can be written using and or attributes. That is, let's say if one attribute is not returning you one matching node or unique address, so in that case you can add attributes to it, right? So what you can do is tag name, attribute name, attribute name using and. Okay, so attribute name is equals to value of the attribute, and then you write and attribute name 2, like second attribute whatever you have chosen, is equals to value of the attribute. So this is how you are trying to make the XPath unique by adding more attributes to it, because the more number of attributes you add to it, there are more chances that it will become unique. You can also use or attribute. So if logic gates are clear, so what happens in logic gates, there are different logics, right? And an or gate. So let's say AND gate. So AND gate works like true, true. If both the conditions are true, then we get result as true. Now, if one condition is true and the other is false, let's say the other attribute is not correct, then we get false result. Okay, and the third situation, if the first condition is false and the second condition is true, then also we'll get false result. And of course, if both are false, then we'll get false result. Okay, so this is how AND gate works. Now similarly, we have some other gate which is called OR gate. In that case, if the first condition is true and the second condition is also true, we have to get a true result set. Now if the first condition is true and the second condition is false, again we'll get a true result set, because it's only OR. We have to match only one condition. If the first condition is false and the second condition is true, then also we'll get a true results. Then the last, if both are false, then we'll get a false result. So that is how and OR gates work. So similarly here you can see I'm applying attribute and the second attribute. That means if both are true, then it will give us the correct XPath, and in this case if any one of them are true, then also we'll get the correct XPath. So using and OR gate, so we can use something like this. Let's go back to this. Now let's say cancel button. Let's do a right click on it and inspect and see what is there. The tag name is button, type is equals to button, and class is equals to this. Now let's write it for the cancel, /, tag name is button, square bracket and stars, and type, let's say we use the tag type is equals to button. Okay, so type is equals to button. It will return me. Okay, just a second, I have not given single quotes here. It gives me one matching node because I have written the correct XPath. Now let's say this was not returning me one matching node. Let's say I was getting 2 or 3 matching nodes. Let's say I'll do one thing. I'll write the XPath for this box only. Okay, let me write the XPath for this box, user ID box, which is /, the tag name is input if you see the highlighted part, and @name is equals to, let's copy paste. Now this is certainly going to return me a correct XPath because it's written like that, but let's say I'm using another attribute also, which is and. So I can use and @placeholder. So placeholder is yet another attribute, is equals to, copy paste. See, there's a capitals here, there's a small letter here, so you have to be very vigilant when you're actually writing the XPath. You have to copy paste, and placeholder is equals to this. Okay, just a second. You have to properly write 6 single quotes. So you can see it's again returning me one matching node because I have anyways it was correct. So and attribute can be used like that. Similarly, or attribute can also be used. So that is how we will be using and or attributes. Now there is another concept to writing XPath. This is called contains function. So how to use contains method, as in, let's say if you're not able to find out XPath by the normal formula, then suppose there's a element which is containing some text, let's say. So if it's containing some text, then we can easily use this method / tag name, and then add a square bracket starts and contains. The contains method will have two parameters. One is what it is containing, so text is the method, and comma, what is the text which is containing. Let's say if I go to webex.com. In webex.com I have this sign up for free button. So I just do a right click on it and I do an inspect element. So when I inspect element, the DOM opens, and inside the DOM, so inside the DOM we can check the highlighted section for this button. I'll just do a right click again. Okay, so it's clear. Yeah, it's coming. Button class, and then we can see the text which is there, right? So for writing contains text, we have to do is / tag name. Tag name is button. Square bracket starts and end. Just a second. Okay, now square bracket starts and ends. Inside the bracket you have to write contains, and then single bracket starts and end, and then text, comma, and then you have to mention the text here. So the text can be copied from here, so we can write the whole text or we can write only minimum partial text. So it's up to us. So let's say I write the partial text till sign up and just do enter. So you can see two matching elements, two elements with the same sign up is available here. So I can write the whole text, that will give me a unique element. So contains text formula works like this: / the tag name, square brackets, contains, then the contains method is having two parameters. One is text, comma, what is the text. So you can mention that. Now we have a way out to make this. This is called using contains method. Now there's another concept which we can learn from here, is using indexing. Now let's say our XPath is not throwing us a unique result set and also throwing us some number of XPaths, not huge number of XPaths, some countable number of XPaths. In that case we can use indexing. Let's say what is indexing? We have to make this XPath unique. So to make that XPath unique, we can embed it inside a bracket and hit and trial. We can see that this is the first occurrence of the element. So when we hit on enter, it should highlight that element which we are trying to look for. No, it's not coming, then we have to mention it as 2 now, because there are two matching elements, right? So you can see in this case, when we use the indexing as 2, it highlights this button. So that means this is the correct XPath for that element which we are looking for. So we can either use indexing or we can use the full text. So that will also give me the unique result sets. So we have learned two concepts here, using contains text and also use indexing to make the XPath unique. Now that was about XPath. We have to look for one more quick thing in XPath. So contains, we have already seen that we have to do / and then the tag name, then contains, and then the attribute name, and then the value of the attribute. Now there's something called starts with and ends with also. We can easily use starts with. Let's say you have to write some attributes value which starts with something particularly. So let's say tag name starts with, then you have to, maybe the text is the attribute, then you have to start, let's say it starts with sign up. So start with could have been used here also. So prefix, and ends with, vice versa, you have to write the suffix, like there's some attribute which ends with a particular text, then you can also use ends with. So that's how XPath can be written. There are so many options of writing unique XPath. You have to know what all options are available and just use it and prepare your own XPaths for all the elements on the web page. Now this was about writing your XPath manually. Now, instead of writing your XPath manually, you can also use tools in the market. One of the most popular tools which is being used is called Selectors Hub. So what you have to do, you have to go to your extensions, more tools, extensions, and you have to write here Selectors Hub, and you have to add it to your extension on your Chrome or Firefox. So once you add it to your extension, and then when you do any right click or on your inspect element, when you have to go to these two arrows in the DOM, and then you will get an option to, let me do it again for you. Let's say get the discount. Right click, inspect. So I want to find out the XPath for get the discount button. So I'll just do like that. Then I have to click on these two arrows. I'll get an option to go to Selectors Hub page. So when I click on Selectors Hub page, you'll get options to copy the relative XPath or the absolute XPath. And then there is test trigger path, and then relative CSS selector. There's absolute XPath here, or class name. So whatever you want, it's a very useful tool. You can choose any of the XPaths which are available. You can copy it directly from here. Let's say I copy the relative XPath. When I paste it in my notes or anywhere, I'll get the XPath. Let's say this is the XPath, / button, normalize space get the discount. So it is easy to use this tool, and you can copy your XPath directly, but it's also important to know how to write your own XPaths manually. Here we have a space where we can check the XPath is correct or not, if you're writing it correctly or not. So we can write our own XPath here and check if it is returning us one matching node or multiple matching nodes. And if you don't want to use this tool, then you can cross it here, and then when you want to check it, you can just do a Control F on the DOM, and there also you can check that your XPath is correct or not. Let's say Control F, then this opens. Here also you can write the XPath and check if it is throwing you one matching node or multiple matching nodes. So that is how you can actually write your own XPaths, or use tools like Selectors Hub to find out your XPath. So that was all about how to write XPath, how to make your XPath unique, what all functions can be used, absolute and relative XPath, and using tools like Selectors Hub for writing or copying your XPaths. That's all from the XPath session. We'll come up with more sessions in the next videos. Till then, thank you.